Welcome to Tech Forum. In this video, let us deep dive into Sling content distribution and let us see how to configure the distribution in AEM. The Sling content distribution will allow the distribution of content among different Sling instance. So in AEM, the author and publisher, whatever we are calling, it's all Sling instance. So through the Sling content distribution, we can distribute the content between those instances. Here the distribution means the ability of picking one or more resources on a source instance. Let us take an example of our case is author and copy and persist that resources into the target instance. Now our case, let's say example of publisher. The Sling content distribution module is able to distribute the content by different options. First one is pushing from Sling instance A to Sling instance B. It's called forward distribution. Then also it can pull the resources from Sling instance B to Sling instance A. It is called reverse distribution. In our case, forward distribution example is AEM author to publisher. Reverse distribution is publisher to author. The next scenario is synchronizing Sling instance A and B via the third coordinating instance. So means we have three instances. We are syncing the content between the instance A and B, but the sync is coordinated via the another instance called C. In our case, let's say we want to keep our publishers. We have a publisher P1, P2. We want to keep the content sync between P1, P2, but the sync will happen through author. So the example use case is the user sync between the users getting created in P1 will get synced to P2 but through the author. Now main component in content distribution is agent. So agent is responsible for creating the packages of resources in the source and dispatch that packages to the queues and process it and persist them into the target instance. Let's say if you take a forward flow, the agent will create the required packages in author, then queue it, process it, send it to publisher and persist in the publisher. Here two different cycles, one is exporting and another one is importing. The exporting is again process of creating one or more packages. Then the exporting can happen either in locally to the agent or remotely to the agent. Let's say I want to push something in a forward flow, the packaging will happen in the source instance. If I want pull something, means reverse flow, author is going to pull something from publisher, the packaging will happen in the remote instance. Here it is publisher, author is going to just pull the package. Now importing means again the process of persisting one or more packages, means it will get the package either through the pull scenario or the push. It will get the package, either it's created locally or it's created remotely, get the package and persist into the instance. That's called importing. Now let's see in Sling content distribution something called triggers. So here I added this, but this is one way of triggering the distribution. So through service you can there is a service available. You can invoke the service with the required input. So for all the scenario, forward or reverse or sync, you can initiate the distribution. If you see the forward distribution, I am just saying this is the whatever the path I have here, this is my agent path. I will show the demo how to create that. Then what is the action? I am saying it's going to be add. So add covers the addition of data or modification. This is the path. So then this will get synced to this agent will be invoked. Agent will have the configuration where to sync it. So then agent will initiate the sync and to sync this content to the target instance. Even you can take care of the delete. The reverse distribution will happen in two steps. One is first in a remote instance. Here my case it's a publisher. The publisher should be adding that changes to the local agent. I will show the demo again. So then the author source instance should be pulling that. It's called reverse flow is a pull that changes into author. Now the sync distribution, again it's a kind of same. First, like a local instance will be adding the changes, then this author will pull it, then again author will send it to all the connected publisher instance. So what are the changes created in publisher 1, let's say publisher 1, this is happening in publisher 1, then author will pull it, then author will send across to other n-1 publisher. Let's say you have 3 publishers connected, one of the publisher is initiating this flow, the changes will go to 2 publishers. Another way is like defining a triggers. So this is the exactly a trigger, that's like another way to initiate. So here different type of triggers are happening. So like based on the some specific events we can initiate the distribution. So first one is a distribution event distribution trigger. So it's like it will help you to enable a chain of distributions. Like when there is a event, it will help you to chain the distribution trigger. Now next one is like JCR event distribution trigger. This is some of the cases is important because this is a observation based distribution trigger. Trigger means any event happening in the JCR. So this trigger will initiate the distribution to the other instance. Means like if you want to keep 2 instances in sync the content, you can use this, but this is again we need to be little cautious here. This will be little costliest operation because the event will be, or the observer will be always monitoring for changes and it has to be processed. Now persisted JCR event distribution trigger, it will again listen for a certain events and persist them under a specific path in the repo. So the first one there is no persistence. Now next one is a remote event distribution trigger. This is a again trigger the distribution upon reception of server sent events on a certain URL. Means somebody sending a event or remote system sending a event on a specific URL, then this event will get triggered. Next one is the resource event distribution trigger for triggering a specific handler, again agent, upon node properties being changed under a certain path. Now next one is scheduled distribution trigger. Distribution trigger to schedule distributions on a certain distribution agent. So this is another one important case. So we may require like a maybe in a defined time period the content should be synced, so that you can use the scheduled distribution trigger. Okay, now let's see like a forward distribution. What is forward distribution? The forward distribution allows to transfer content from a source instance. Now our case, let's say author, to a form of target instance. Our case it's a publisher. So from author, what are the changes you want to sync to the target published instances, number of instances, we can use the forward distribution. So here like the content is pushed from the source to target. Author will push the content to the publishers. If you see the diagram here, we have a source instance author, then there is multiple target instances, target 1, target 2 and target n. Whenever there is a change, you have to have a specific trigger defined. So based on the trigger and based on the agent configuration, the changes from author will get pushed to the publishers. Yeah, if you see here, this is the configuration required to enable the forward distribution. So in the source instance, we need to define a forward distribution agent factory. So here one of the important configuration is endpoints. So you can have multiple endpoints. If you see like endpoint 0, this is one of the publisher. Then this is again important default. Default is like what is configured here. This is the configuration path. This default will change based on what configuration we are doing it in a publisher. So here how many publishers you want to add, those endpoints you can add it. So whenever there is a event, whenever there is a distribution, author will distribute to all these endpoints. Now in the target instance, maybe like here one publisher, you can do it in all the required publishers. So we need to define a local distribution package importer factory. You need to give a name. Here I am keeping default, the same name is used here. Yeah, that's two main steps. One is configure a local importer on the publish. So in all the individual publishers, then you need to define a forward agent on author pointing to all these endpoint URLs. Yeah, maybe let's say demo, forward distribution demo. The major steps are like as already we discussed, we need to configure a forward agent in author. So it can be done through UI or OSGI config. Then we need to define a local importer in publisher. Then we need to define the triggers, enable the triggers. I will show the demo on scheduled and JCR event. So maybe as a first of event we can invoke through the command, curl command, whatever I shown that service. So then we can define the trigger. Then yeah, we can test through that. Okay, let me now go into my servers. So this is my publisher. I will first go to that. Maybe I need to okay, look for this specific property. If I go here, yeah, local distribution property. So I will anyway, you can search for that anyway. Just let me open that. Yeah, this is in the publisher. Yeah, if I go, I will just say name equal to default. That should be fine. Yeah, already one configuration is there. That is for social PubSync. Maybe later we can use this for the user synchronization scenario. But now I created one for this forward flow default. If you go inside here, package builder default, if you require, you can change all this distribution package builder. But anyway, we are going with the default. Publisher is completed now. Let's move into author. Now one thing, you can go here, then go to deployment, go to distribution. One point to notice, like the replication and this distribution, both are for a different use case for now. So the replication is again to handle those activation and modification and all those scenarios. Even the distribution can be used for the replication, but that I will explain later. The recommendation is to use the distribution for the reverse syncing. Now if you see here, the author is already having a agent defined default. You can either use this default agent, whatever is already defined, or even you can create a new agent. Click on create button. So you can give a agent name, then agent type, forward distribution, reverse synchronization, or queue. Maybe we can explain all those things later. Then you can select the required configurations. You can just click on that. I'm going to edit it. Yeah, so the name is publish. If it is a forward agent, you can create a new agent also. Now it's already enabled. This is fine. The service name, you can define a service name, means like what is the service name used for the creating the packages and persisting the package. But anyway, I will go with the default. That's fine. Yeah, service used to access the repository. Log level you can change. Maybe for now I will keep it as a debug. Now yeah, you can change this allowed routes so that under which route this syncing is going to happen or distribution is going to happen. For me, I will say like under vRetail. Whatever the change under vRetail, this agent will take care. Queue processing enabled. Yeah, see here the importer endpoints. So endpoint 0. So one publisher now. If you go the end, you can see the default. So that is the name we defined in the publisher. How many endpoints you want, you can add it here. So yeah, passive queues, and you can leave it for now. If you want to have a priority defined for some of the scenarios, you can have a priority queues. Then retry strategy, you can error queue, or I am leaving it none. How many times retry attempts. Yeah, this is looking fine. Save it. The same configuration even can be done through this, the forward distribution agent factory. Maybe I will show you that. let me go into forward. Yeah, so already the agent is here. You can modify from here also. So some of the values you can't configure there. So maybe if you come down, mainly this triggers you can't configure from there. So I will show you like how to configure the triggers later. Okay, now the configuration is completed. So now what we can do is, let me go into maybe the CRXT of okay, I'm going into vRetail JCR content. Yeah, here there is a JCR title. I'm just going and changing this to distribute. Okay, I'm just saving it. Fine. Now I'm going the same thing to publishers. Yeah, now as a first step, let me invoke this curl command. Okay, go to command prompt, do this. Yeah, ensure this agent name here, because my agent name is publish. So if you have a custom agent name, change this. So then action equal to add, then this is my path, the content vRetail USEN. I am going to change it in the JCR content. So I am just saying, yeah, see here it will get a status saying accepted, means it's accepted the thing, it will be sending to publisher. Sometimes you may get a error like dropped if you are not sending the proper data or all those things, you will get a dropped message here, but here this case it's accepted. Now if I go to publisher and just refresh the JCR content node, yeah, if you see English distribute, so this is a publisher. Like this, like you can configure whatever the change you do, like it will get sync to the publisher. So now let's see like triggers, like how to do this same thing, because I now triggered through this curl command, that through the service. I want to do the same thing through the triggers. So for that, what you do is again go to author console, just search for triggers. Yeah, if you see here all this, what are the triggers we all the triggers whatever we explained, so you can see it here, the details. So there is already some scheduled trigger, like this is for again I sold user syncing. Yeah, you can create whatever the type of triggers you require. For me, I am going with this JCR event triggers and this scheduled. First let me go with the JCR event trigger factory. So now I will give a name saying maybe sync data or something. Okay, sync JCR data, keep this with you. Then I'm going to say the path, which path. So content vRetail. So yeah, this trigger is having a different, see here is a checkbox called use deep distribution. So what you can do is, even though I can say content vRetail, so under that folder or root node, whatever the changes are happening, so it will get synced. So if I select this deep distribution, if you want to only sync that specific node, then you can unselect this. So for now I am going to, then you can say ignored paths, whatever the patterns should be ignored in the syncing. Then service name again, you can provide the specific service now name. I am going just with the default now, so that should be okay. The best case is like you need to define a service name and with a required access for that content path, then specify that here. Okay, now this is fine. Now I'm going and saving this. Yeah, now this is defined, but still one more thing you need to do is you need to go to that agent, whatever the agent we defined here, go and select this. Now if you come down here, as already I shown, there is a place to define the trigger. So triggers name equal to, you put the name, whatever name, and now this agent will be triggered. that is a trigger. This agent is associated to that trigger. So whenever there is a JCR event, this trigger will initiate the agent. The agent will send that data to the publisher. Now save. Yeah, should be okay. Now let's go back. Now I will do the change to this to trigger. I'm just saving this. The expectation is it will be immediately would be synced here, unless there is no okay, it's not synced. Okay, I was wrong. Like, you need to specify the service name, otherwise it won't work. So I'm just using the default service name here, so you can get it from here. So if you see here, there is already a service name defined. This is for social sync, the default one, but it's not a best practice. You should not be using this. You need to define a different specific service name, and you can use it. Only for demo I am using this. So I just copied. This is if you search with the distribution. Yeah, this is defined for distribution, but different use case. Now, okay, I will go back to the factory again. Trigger, sorry, yeah. Trigger. You see, like I'm specifying the service name. Now I will go back. So now, okay, maybe I need to change, otherwise it won't trigger it again. Just I save this, go back here. Yeah, you can see the new value is reflected. So whenever there is a node change within that specified root path, the value will get synced to the publishers. How many publishers you are configured, all the publishers will get that data synced. Okay, so now let's see now how to do a scheduled one. So I will go to scheduled one. Maybe I need the same service name there also. I will copy it. Now I'm going to define another one. Sync JCR data scheduled. Now distribution type, again I will go with that. You can define delete also. Delete will help you to delete those data. Whatever the data you are deleting here, it will get synced to the publishers. Now pull we can see it later. This is for reverse. Test is if you want to test whether the distribution flow is working. Now distribution path, here I am specifying the exact path. So I will go and copy that here. Here there is no deep syncing, so we need to specify the specific path. This path should be under the same agent. In the agent already we defined some root path, content we retail, so it should be under that, otherwise it won't work. Now interval in seconds, 30 seconds is the default. Maybe I will keep maybe 60 so that we can see the difference. Then service name, here also the service name is mandatory. So sorry, I missed that again. Let me open it in another tab. Okay, it should be coming after this. Okay, I will go and copy the social. Okay, go back here and add this. Okay, now I enable the scheduled one, copy this again, save it. Okay, now go back to the agent again. Okay, this is the agent. Go here and come to the bottom, change this to the new scheduler trigger. Fine, now save it. Okay, that's fine. You go here, maybe let me now change the value to distribute scheduled. Fine, you may need to wait for some time. Yeah, it won't reflect immediately. If you see, it won't reflect, but it should be reflecting after 60 seconds. Yeah, now if you see, like after 60 seconds, the value got synced. English distribute scheduled. Okay, the flow is working expected. You can define what are the trigger you want. You can add multiple publishers. So then even you can now we seen that add scenario. You can use the delete also. So now let me go back to this agent definition. So if I go back to this, yeah, this is the publish agent we were using. So click on that. You can see here logs, all these details of the logs, what's going on. You can find out. Now settings, that's fine. Now status, you can see it's enabled. So this is the endpoint. Now items pending 0. So you can go and click on this. It will tell you, yeah, how many items. If any items pending here, it will show you. If it is blocked or something, then you can clear the queue also. If you want, you can refresh it and all those things. You can do it from here. Another one thing, let's say you want to distribute manually, like you don't want to go through the curl or whatever the trigger you did it. So here you can do through this, like add node. So which is the add node you are going to synchronize. So I will again say UI. I'm going and doing this through UI. Now I go back here. I will just select that specific node. Okay, it's vRetail. I can go and copy this. Let me copy this. Okay, now I'm going to submit this. Yeah, it's done. So if I go here, yeah, the value is changed to distribute UI. So one more thing you can do here is like again go to distribute. You can do a add tree also. So I'm just going and telling like maybe content vRetail, that's it, vRetail. So but I'm going and changing here in the same place tree. So this is saved. Now I will go here and just say submit. Maybe that I configure the scheduled also, but anyway, it's happening from here. It's okay. Yeah, done. Now if I go here, yeah, now it's synced. Yeah, so what we learned is here like how to do a forward flow. So we then how we can trigger that. So there is 3 options: through curl command, the service, or through UI, or through triggers. This is a nice feature, the distribution. But we need to little cautious here when we are using it, what we are trying to sync it. So it will impact the performance also. So so based on that, we need to select what kind of trigger we are going to use it. Maybe like we can continue in another video with other options, like we are going to see the reverse flow, how to enable the reverse flow, then how we are going to do the sync. For that we can use the user sync flow. So how are we going to sync the user between the publishers through author. The third thing is even AEM, the distribution agent, whatever we are defined, can be configured in the replication agent. So whenever we are trying to replicate anything internally, this distribution agent can be used. So that is another scenario. Maybe we can see it in the further videos. Yeah, thanks all for watching the video. See you in the next video.